YourTV was there for the groundbreaking in 2017 and again in September 2019 when the doors were thrown open to Wellspring Niagara's Pelham location. It was a big step up for the organization, which began as a promise to a family member who lost his fight with cancer in 1999. This year, Wellspring celebrates 20 years serving the region. The Source welcomes Executive Director Anne Mantini-Celima. Welcome, Anne.
Hi, how are you, Mike?
I'm great. 20 years, it's hard to believe. That time has flown.
I know, I can't believe it. Where has time gone, and how much work and effort has been put in, and the impact that our organization has made in the community, and so it's hard to believe.
Well, that's what we want to wrap our head around today. 20 years of supporting cancer patients here in the Niagara region.
Yeah.
Let's begin with talking about the seeds of Wellspring Niagara.
Sure. Well, it all started with my brother Aldo. Aldo was diagnosed with cancer in 1998 and was looking for avenues of support for himself and his family. And there was nothing in the Niagara region. And there were, but what he did found there was two resources, one in Hamilton and one in Toronto. And there was a center called Wellspring in a little coach house downtown Toronto that provided support to cancer patients and their families. And I actually used those services during that time. I was living in Toronto, and I was referred to Wellspring, and I was so impressed with the services. And in turn, my brother was so impressed with the support that I was able to access and that what he could have access to. And unfortunately, the distance was there. That just he wasn't able to access those services. So he felt that there was a reason why he was diagnosed and why he was going through this, and he just wanted to make an impact and wanted to start an organization or a center, a place, even if it wasn't a Wellspring, but a place like that for the people of Niagara who were going through cancer. He met so many people in treatment, and he realized how fortunate he was that he had a large family, but so many others were by themselves, and he just felt no one should really feel alone when they're going through their cancer journey. That bothered him. And so unfortunately, Aldo's cancer advanced quite quickly. And on February 28, 1999, he passed away. And it was the day before he passed away that he made me promise to continue with his plan and his dream to establish a center.
What was the next step then after that promise?
Oh wow! He gave me a list of names, people to contact, and he just encouraged me to just make contact and to do this because there was something that needed to be done. I made those contacts, but I also approached Wellspring in Toronto because it was a place that I was familiar with and a place that I knew he was impressed with. And I asked them, how could I start a center in the Niagara region? They gave me some advice and said it's a lot of hard work and you'd have to put a business plan together, and perhaps we could present it to our board, and if there's a case we could maybe set up an affiliation agreement where you could use our name and model of services. And this was early on when they were also just starting. They were only a few years, maybe 7 or 8 years. I had no experience in cancer supportive care and didn't know where to begin. All I knew is I could maybe bring people together to raise the money or to prove a case and establish that case for support. That was really it. But no, I wasn't in the business of cancer supportive care services. They were the experts. And they had a team of experts in the field of oncology around them. Very impressive group of people who were involved in the model of what Wellspring would be. And the founder at that time, Anne Armstrong Gibson, I never did meet her. She passed away around, it was 1997 when she passed away, but it was her dream to actually see the model of Wellspring expand nationally, and not to become this national conglomerate, but to really become community-based centers that would be
local
organizations that would follow the same model of services, so that there would be that standard right across the board. And now there are 8 Wellspring centers in all of Canada, and each independent of each other. and each supported by the community that they're in. So that's how it all started. It's important to say that, I wasn't in this alone. People that came together, a group of volunteers that were very important.
Who were some of those people?
Well, I can tell you, it started with one gentleman in particular. His name was Dr. Udayan Rege. And for those who went to school at Brock University, he was head of the business department, and I know very well respected. He was actually my brother's prof at school, and he was going through his cancer journey. And he actually approached Wellspring in Toronto because he and his wife, Kanchan, were hoping to establish a similar model. And they said, well, as luck has it, there is someone starting, so maybe you should connect. And so I connected with Dr. Rege, and who better but someone who could help me with the business plan and the financial model, someone who isn't, who taught students.
It really seems, I'm seeing a theme here, things just are sort of clicking and falling into place
Really.
at the right time.
Truly, honestly. So it was, that was in 1999, because Aldo passed away in February, and Dr. Rege and I actually presented our model, our business plan, to the board of directors in Wellspring in Toronto. And they approved our plan and said, we will give you permission to use our name and our model, and now you have to go raise the money, and you have to establish your own charitable designation. And that's when another group of volunteers came forward, and we established a board of volunteers, of individuals from a lot of community leaders across the region.
Part of the need for it was shown because really a lot of fundraising, a lot of funds were not going towards cancer support, more towards the science behind it.
Yes, more research, right? It was the supportive care that was kind of getting missed. And at that time, now, the focus of supportive care is very important now. That's a huge part of what, doctors are recommending that their patients are getting, is that support.
You can even ease the strain on the doctors by having the supportive care.
For sure. And at that time, it was very new. It was a very new model, but there was this need, a huge need. So when we opened our doors, we became just a registered charity quite quickly. I'm very proud of that, with this group of individuals who helped develop this plan, and we applied for our charitable status. It took 13 days to get our number from the time of our application. Again, things fall into place. And I want to go back to Dr. Rege. Dr. Rege passed away in January of 2000. He never did see it come to fruition, but he was there to know that we were going to be able to bring a center like Wellspring to the residents of Niagara. And then this group of other people came on board, and we were able to get this center off the ground, and at least starting to raise dollars and keep the money local.
When you compare, that day in June of 2001 to the day in September of 2019, so 01, you were opening up and really not knowing what the future looked like, what it was really going to be like. In 2019, you open up this modern 11,000 square foot facility in Pelham, truly at the center of Niagara. What was that feeling like?
Oh, overwhelming. Going back to 2001, we didn't know who was going to come through their doors, really. We were waiting. Okay, we are ready to go. Who's going to come through? And just knowing that, I think from 2019, when we knew we were making an impact in the community, we had a history. We had an 18-year history in Niagara. To know that now our members could come to this beautiful home rather than we were in a strip plaza, 2,000 square foot facility where we registered, we were serving over 800 people a year in that little 2,000 square foot space with 3 program rooms, and we were running over 40 programs. And I think about it, I go, how did we do it? But we had no choice. We were just surviving in terms of getting the programs off the ground. To think about a capital campaign to build a building, we really had to prepare for that, and that took years. People don't realize, we planned it out. Our board really thought, okay, we have to make sure that we have enough money in a reserve so programming doesn't get impacted, because we knew we were asking for financial dollars for the building, and we knew something was going to be hit, and that was going to be our programming. And events, events like the Rankin Cancer Run were instrumental, especially during that time, because all the money that we received from the Rankin Cancer Run went straight into programming. So that was was security for us.
I know it's difficult right now with COVID-19, with the pandemic, but when you look at the future of Wellspring Niagara, what do you see?
I see hope, right? I mean, I see that we survived this past year. We've been able to at least modify our programming, bringing it virtually. I mean, we haven't stopped. We stopped in-person programming March 14th when the pandemic struck, and we've continued to support people. We've, in 2020, we served over 800 individuals, right? Almost 800 individuals, it's like 780 people.
Right.
And so there's a need, and there will always continue to be a need. We will continue to grow. We can modify, if we have to, whatever we need to do to ensure that the services and support is there for people. I think now with our new building, although right now it's not being utilized, sadly, because it's such an amazing place, we now have a space that we can safely integrate our programming back, bring people back following this pandemic. We would never have been able to do that. So I see a huge future. I see that we will continue to grow and change and expand and modify to meet the needs of our community, of where it is at that moment.
And I do remember back in 2019 when you opened it up, you also looked at the future and you said, hopefully there's a time in the future when you can close the building because the need won't be there. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, for sure. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much.